capitalism in the American way. Ray came up with a great idea. Well, how about we hook them up with our friends in Iran who have guns, right? And we'll open up the market in America for them to dump their coke. And the money that they make from the coke, they can use to buy arms to fight this war for us. This is what they did. It's a part of our historical record. You can look it up. This is what they did. And they befriended a young cocaine dealer named Freeway Ricky Ross, not the rapper. That's why you gotta look at the rapper. Like, what are you doing? All right, I'm gonna go off on a tangent. I'm gonna bring it back there. So, Ricky Ross had a homie named Michael Harrison. Michael Harrison is he introduced his attorney, David Kenner, who's the attorney that got Snoop off of his murder charges back in the day, with a security guard to do a label. That label became Death Row. See how it all circles back to, all right? So Freeway Ricky Ross, LA, freebasing was real big because you can use small amounts of cocaine, you can boost the high using baking soda and some other chemicals. Very, very addictive. And he figured out, well, you know what? Because poor people couldn't afford cocaine. Cocaine was way too expensive. Cocaine was primarily for Hollywood and, rich people who could afford it. Rich man's drug. Crack was a poor man's drug. So poor people could get into the cocaine market with less money, but there are more poor people, so you stand and make greater amounts of money. If that makes sense. Okay? I was authorized to do everything that I did. Authorized by who? He was the head of the CIA in the 70s, due to knowledge. He was head of the CIA in the 70s, becomes vice president. He said he didn't know anything. After they were done with him, he becomes president. So who was really making decisions when he was president? I'm just saying. Smell like a duck, walk like a duck, talk like a duck, must be a... All right.
I don't think Nancy Reagan should be left out.
Who?
Nancy Reagan.
Say no to drugs?
Yeah.
Oh, leave Nancy alone.
No.
Hey man, gender rights, women can get it too. Just throw Nancy under the bus, I'm with you. Okay, hold on, okay. So that kind of set the stage for 80s hip hop, like what was coming down the pike for the 80s, right? You had this big cultural phenomenon happen in the 70s when hip hop was more cultural, and then through the crack era, things kind of started to change. All right? Kumo D, the Treacherous Three, very powerful voice in hip hop. Run DMC and Jam Master Jay. Does anybody know how Jam Master Jay died, by the way? Shot, right? You know why he got shot? Huh? Just a rumor. I heard it was cocaine. I don't know, I wasn't there, but you read the reports, you read the story in the news, it was coke related. I'm just not a big fan of cocaine. All we do is spark madism, but I'm not the cocaine. I'm just saying, weed is not a drug, it's an herb. LL Cool J. Look at the rope chains. Cool J. See the materialism starting to rear its head? Okay. The reason why I have The Warriors, which was a motion picture that came out in 1980, Wild Style, Crush Groove, Beat Street, is because at this time, mainstream America, commercial America is starting to pay attention. Before this time, hip-hop was like disposable culture. Oh, it's a fad. It'll be here today, gone tomorrow. By the mid-'80s, you had Hollywood getting into the fray. They saw the potential for hip-hop culture being a moneymaker. They wanted to get into that market. So you see these movies being put out that speaks directly to young Black and Latino youth in urban communities. And then at some point, it becomes crossover, really crossover, and it's important for young whites to be included in this urban phenomenon. Don't you just love her? Just joking. Flashdance was a big movie for us because it showed us that hip hop could be produced and presented in a big way and just not be some ghetto thing that's happening on the corner. The God, Hakim. Now, Hakim is known as a conscious MC. When he first came out, though, you see the gold, you see the silver, you see the money. It became about material achievement. Greed is good. That's what the 80s was about, right? Greed is good. Capitalism at its best. You know, big business, small government. Juice Crew, Salt and Pepper, Criminal Minded. Now, you kind of have a mesh here because I told you, Hakim is known as a conscious MC, and he is very much so that we call him the God MC. He's the one who introduced to most of us the 5% nation of gods and earth. Anybody familiar with the 5% nation of gods and earth? Can I see a show of hands? All right. It's important that you know this. All right? The 5% nation of gods and earth teaches that 100% of the people, 85 are blind, deaf, and dumb, don't want nothing, don't want to know nothing. All they want to do is follow and eat. 10% are bloodsuckers of the poor. They keep the blind, deaf, and dumb, and blind to the reality of who they really are so they can take advantage of them. And you're left with 5% of the population, which the poor righteous teachers whose duty it is to awaken the 85% to the true reality of who they are. Does that make sense? Okay. Hakim is not the first, but the most prominent MC to introduce us to those philosophies. You see Salt and Pepper, who's one of the biggest crossover acts of all time, but you see kente cloth, and you see the gold ropes, but you see that very Afrocentric look still. The Juice Crew, and you have Boogie Down Productions with Criminal Minded, that's KRS-One. Now KRS-One is probably when you think of conscious rapping and politics and activism, he's second to none. But his entree into the hip-hop world, very gangster and militant. The first MCs, rappers with guns on the album cover, Criminal Minded. Okay, so we have the break dancer, the graffiti artist, the DJ, and the MC. Al Sharpton, Alton Maddox, I always forget the other brother's name. It'll hit me, I'll come back to it. But the reason why I have these folks here is because in 87, 88, 89, I think America started to go back into a fight, a cultural fight, right? Where these minority groups, again, looking for more and more of the American pie. They want a bigger piece of the pie. They want to see themselves on TV. They want to see themselves in the mainstream. They want to see themselves in law enforcement. Okay, we have, affirmative action, but is it really working? Because we're not seeing ourselves. And these are three of the voices that stood up to, kind of push that issue. Probably most notably around the Tawana Brawley case in 1987, 88, young black girl in upstate New York who accused the prosecutor of the town of raping her and throwing her in a plastic bag with dog feces. Yeah, it was crazy. He was found not guilty, or no charges were filed against him. Some people say she lied. Some people say she told the truth. But that case sparked a great deal of attention around, again, how we were being treated as black people and as minorities.